Hey everyone, Ayla Pants here, aka Ashmalala in Second Life. I'm in the mood to rebuild my little parcel from scratch, and I thought y'all might enjoy coming along for the ride. The idea started as another fantasy, but I just can't let go of my cyberpunk aesthetic, so we're splitting the difference and going for post-apocalyptic. So maybe like The Last of Us, but with magic. I just like the lush, overgrown look with crumbling buildings, and we'll throw in some pipes and tech in there somewhere. First things first, I'm going to slip into something a little more fantasy-oriented to get me in the mood. And let's set our Winlight or EEP or whatever to something a little more evenly lit to work in. So like Niam's optimal skim and prim works for me. Very much easier on the eyes. Okay, so here's the plan. So I'm seeing a tiny neighborhood with a handful of houses. The road between them has long been overgrown and washed out. So we'll have like a little stream running between the buildings. We'll have trees and shrubbery set along the border and dotted between. They'll sort of block my view of my neighbors and help with immersion. And some fantasy moments dotted the land between the buildings. And I have this sci-fi bridge I've been dying to use, so I want some kind of footbridge system between the buildings. Easy peasy, right? We'll get this parcel knocked out in no time. Okay, so first things first, I'm building a platform, because even though I start building on the ground, the plan was always to have it way up in the air, using a ground texture, so if any part of this actually pokes through the eventual build, it'll just look like grass. Then immediately I will drag a texture onto it. Yep, there you go, to put the grass texture back. In order to avoid doing that, I have to lock the platform. Boy, will that come back and bite me in the butt later. We'll see. Right now I'm just putting out all the buildings I have that may match. I really did like this little church looking thing, but it's too fantasy. I wanted more, modern buildings. So that'll have to be saved for another time. And then I get distracted by a shopping event. It was fantasy, but it turned out to be more Harry Potter themed. So I didn't actually get anything here, but I did have fun walking around. You'll see I do go and visit the Death Row Designs demo, which they do get a lot of my money. And I was very tempted by this building, but high land impact, didn't have immediate use for it. So back to building. And a lot of buildings I did have to put out. So that is in that corner there, that is a rebel building. I will end up using that later. That did end up becoming very effective storytelling, which I'll get to later. Now this, I had initial plans of making my home within the parcel. It was way too big, so I'm like, I'll just resize it, but couldn't do it all at once. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just resize it bit by bit, because it did let me edit and the linked objects. What you don't see is me using a calculator and doing like 30% smaller for every little piece. And that was obnoxious. It was like X, Y, Z axes. Yeah, and then I had to take a break. So we're back to looking at buildings and trying to find stuff that just generally matches the same aesthetic, which is difficult when you're buying across different vendors. That's another home. See, that matches the church. And I'm like, ooh, should I just go with fantasy again? But no, we have a vision. We're doing post-apocalyptic. Here's that bridge. Maybe a little too sci-fi, but we're gonna go for it. I got it, I wanna use it. Okay, we're back to the house. So I decide, this wasn't made by the creator to be as part of a parcel. It's meant to be its own home floating up in the air. So they didn't have any exterior. So I'm like, I'll just build my own exterior, right? How hard could it be? So here I am with Prims, realizing just now that it's going to be a bitch to get around this window, but I'm giving it my darndest. Yep, especially with this curved area. So I'm trying to buy myself some room here by making a fake log that kind of matches the wood that you see on the interior. Messing with the colors. Again, all Prims. This fan was cool, but then I linked it and then I messed that up. So now I gotta unlink it and delete it. Oh, but then I delete the whole house. I was not happy about that, but fortunately it went to my delete folder, so I was able to put it back. Yeah, now I've officially figured out to select exactly what I want to unlink and then delete that. And I put it back, not linked this time. All right, so I have a fireplace. I want to put a fireplace in there to match, on the exterior to match the interior. Want to use the free textures because I'm too lazy and cheap, weirdly, to go find real textures. And that's the only brick texture that Linden Labs apparently offers. So that's what I'm going with. Now I'm trying to match the color inside a little bit. It's a little on the green side. And then I'm in denial. I go back trying to find more patterns again, but no, this is the only texture. And then I find these, I have these pipes. And I thought, well, that's kind of industrial looking, right? Kind of matches the industrial fan. And I go back and retexture the fan with the griminess I found for the fireplace. Now I'm trying to make a ceiling. So I unlinked, copied, and relinked to this ceiling. And I'm like, well, it has that hole in the middle that matches the window. So this will be helpful in some way. And then I just have to patch up the rest of it, right? Now I'm trying to find a texture that could be like a roof. Darken that up. There we go. Not great, a lot of gaps still, so I'm gonna ignore that for now, and we're gonna deal with there we go, yeah, the parts around the curved part of the window, messing with those textures. I cut out so much of me trying to get these textures to look nice. What am I doing here? It's been a while. So in full transparency, I had actually recorded this at the end of July. I was like, I'll just record this and then I'll edit it over the weekend and then boom, I can just put it out there. And then it took more weekends than one. And then some very cool games came out and then some cool DLCs came out and Ayla got a little distracted. So it's around here, I take a hard look at what I've done. And this is looking really primmy, really old school, Second Life, and it's just not gonna work out. So even with all that work, trying to find new buildings. Now I like this because the windows match the other building, right? You see that? So I was like, let's try this. And then for some reason, it just looked too clean. So I've dirtied it up. I'm adding some gray to the windows, and it was still looking too clean. So I'm like, well, let's add some of these more sci-fi window pieces to it, removing the whole reason why I liked this building in the first place, mind you. And yeah, as you can see, it's not really working out. And in my frustration, I delete it. Trying to find some more buildings to plug in here. This is too dark. I like it though, but not right for this. And this one, while also dark, I decide I think I can work with this. It's clearly an alley and not buildings, but maybe I can make buildings around it. Stretching did not work on this side as it worked on the other side, but I can still work with it, I think. So now I'm just adding these modular pieces I have from a pack. I'm going to build my own building. The texture, the way they have it, I couldn't manipulate it to be like what I'm doing with this piece here, so I had to add this piece. And look at it, it matches. I can get it to match pretty well. I was pretty proud of myself. I had some shininess and bumpiness. I end up not really liking it, but it takes me a long time to decide I don't like it. So you're going to see it like this for a while. I kind of liked the griminess, but in the light I eventually used for this, it's too much texture. Adding more modular windows. And I'm going to add that bridge. And, it works, but I'm not quite into it. I'm still going to work with this. I'm going to hold off. And then I realized, yeah, it's because it's not tall enough. If it was taller, it would make more sense to have a bridge up there. So I got these modular pieces. I'm adding them where it makes sense. Got to mess with the textures again so that it fits in more. I'm really lucky that they allow these pieces to be modded. All right, now ground pieces. These are the little hills I was talking about. I feel like they were created with the assumption they'd be placed over a much bigger area, but not me. Losing all these little pieces, all this extra texture makes it real hard to get them underneath buildings without them poking through. But I try. Oh, what is that? Ancient Dream Gate. I'm going to make note of that. So I end up not wanting to include this right away, but I think I will add it now, 5 months later, seeing it again. And I'm just looking for little fantasy pieces. That is a person. That is not in the right folder. I'm just going to ignore that. This was a cool fantasy piece I had used in the previous parcel. That's too clean looking. Back to the building. So I'm going to be very all over the place with this. Oh, look. More texture issues. I'm going to lock that in place and forget I did that. Creativity is not linear. You're going to be trying out ideas. You're going to be going for ideas for a while before you realize it's not working, and then cut your losses or double down and just find a way to make it work. But you can't get too down on yourself when that happens. It's really easy to get real frustrated. And this is supposed to be fun. So you can't let that happen. I think it's important to see that when you're doing anything creative, it's never going to go as smoothly as you hope. That's part of the fun, right? The little accidents that happen. So here, this road, really cool road pieces, except the one time they have a curve, it curves up as well. And I was trying to flatten it out, but then it made it too flat. It didn't match with the road piece. So I wanted to curve around the bend, but that didn't really work out. So now I'm just going to fake it. So the idea is we're going to have this waterfall that naturally occurred at some point after the apocalypse, as water, gets redirected through natural occurrences, whatever the disaster is. I never quite decided what this natural disaster was that created the post-apocalyptic scene. So here I'm building kind of the rough idea of where this creek, river type waterway winds around. All right, so all this riverbed stuff and then the eventual river itself is from Love. Love is another Second Life vendor, has gotten a lot of my money. I feel like they have some real quality stuff. Really happy, especially with the river animations, which you'll see in a little bit. And it even comes with audio, so you can have that river, creek sound. I never quite figured out how you're supposed to use those riverbed pieces. Like, am I making them too big, or are they supposed to be really small? I don't know. All right, so because this was all taking place over literally like 6 to 8 hours a day of building, and I did whittle this down. Part of being able to do that was by speeding this up. So all this river stuff is like sometimes 2 to 3 to 4 times faster than what it's going to actually look like. That looks like it's really shooting out there, right? Oh, so at first I thought I would do where the river or the stream splits around the bus stop. So we have this slower stream going around the left and the faster stream shooting on the right. So I'm trying to build that curve around right now. And it ends at the end of the parcel there. And here I make my own, a second little waterfall over there for some reason. So I really wanted those little pools. And now we're reaching the end of the day, and I'm starting to think maybe this might be too much water taking up my parcel. But we'll address that on day 2. And I'll see you then. You guys have a good day. Thank you for watching.